Hi, everyone. All right. First meeting as chair. We are going to call this meeting to order. Joanne, you want to do roll call?
Commissioner Ernst,
Yes.
Commissioner Engel, Commissioner Rollins,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogelsang,
Yes,
Commissioner Wright.
All right, any changes to the agenda? Nope. All right, and so we will open it up to public requests.
Travieso, 1037 West Royal Palm Road. I'm here to really thank you all for approving the APP Masters, International Masters Tournament here in Boca, which has started yesterday. I'm obviously the volunteer coordinator for that event. We have over 130 volunteers who have committed to over 1,200 hours of volunteer time. There's also 1,200 of the best players in pickleball playing right now this whole week at Boca Raton, and it's only because of you guys. You approved it. It's a huge success just in the 2 days that we've had, and the best days are yet to come. So I hope that you can all really participate, swing by and see the results of what you've approved. So that's number one on my agenda. And again, I just want to emphasize, please come by and see why we love this sport. A year or so ago, I met a very nice gentleman. His name is Art Turple, and we both embraced this sport together. And I've learned so much from him in the short time that we've known each other. But we were both co-sponsoring this thing in terms of the volunteers, and it's only successful not only that they're the best players in the country there, even in the world, but we also have a great group of volunteers, just awesome people that come and willingly provide their hours, their personal time to help this thing succeed. So I want to thank you for that. Number two is that I hope that you have very careful. I wrote it down. The first time I spoke before this board was October 17, 2016. So almost 6 years ago, I talked about having outdoor pickleball courts because we didn't have any in Boca. And we have 10 outdoor courts now, and we want more. So the popularity is here. This is the fastest growing sport in the country, in the world. And so what I'm here to ask you is to please approve the next step to look for more pickleball courts at Patriot. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Travieso. Okay, anybody else?
Hi, Art Turple, 19155 Fairlawn Way in Boca. Raul is, I just want to echo what he said. Just a few other things, 1,200 players. Of that 1,200 players, somewhere over 50% of them are from out of town. All over the country have come in because this is a major qualifying tournament for national championships. So this has allowed a lot of people to come in, and even today, as we're checking them in, they've been so pleased with being in Boca, many of them from the north. So the weather has been nice and cooperated with them. So it's just a wonderful thing. And when Raul talked about what's on the agenda for the courts coming up, Thank you I've been involved over 40 years. I'm one of these crazy soccer guys that you've probably heard of. And somehow I've become a pickleball and a soccer guy now. As I've gotten older, I can do both. And what's happened with these potential courts that we're going to have, we're just going to be able to grow the sport with local people here in such a great way. Right now, pickleball is unique. I was a tennis player for over 50 years, and many times people ask, I can count on one hand the amount of times I went to a tennis court with my racket and looking for a tennis game. Just doesn't happen. Tennis people are scheduled people. Pickleball has something called open play, and we really aren't able to have a lot of that now. Over at El Rio with 4 courts, we have open play, and in the morning with 4 courts, so that's 4 people on each court, that's 16 people. There are 32 other people waiting to play with their rackets lined up to play. And the great thing about this sport is you can show up and you can play with young people, old people, very good people, maybe not so good people. Pickleball is a uniquely social game. And with the Patch Reef expansion, we'll be able to have courts for lessons. We'll be able to have courts for scheduled play, just like tennis, and we'll be able to have courts for open play where people just can come and get to know people from in town, out of town. So thank you for taking a look at this. And I really think it'll be a wonderful thing for the recreation of the people here in the tax district. Thank you.
Purple. The weather seems to have worked out for you too this week. Really, really nice. Okay, so anybody else? Nope. Public requests are now closed. Approval of the minutes of the previous board meeting held on January 3rd, 2022. We have a motion? All right. And or anything on it? Nope.
Commissioner Engel? Commissioner Rollins? Commissioner Vogelsang?
Yes.
And Commissioner White? Motion passes.
Okay, next up is the regular business. First is going to be the RFP responses for the operator of the James Rutherford Community Center. After discussion with Brianne, we wanted to kind of see what you wanted to do on this. We had the information from each of the submitters in our documentation. But if you had questions, we can open it up to questions if you'd like to each of them, or we can go ahead and rank them if you're ready to go ahead and rank them and then vote. Just wanted to kind of ask you guys what you felt you wanted to do on this.
But yeah, well, it's working now. Maybe as a suggestion, they're 2 very uniquely different proposals. From my perspective, I'd like to recommend that we invite them both to give us a brief overview of what they would offer to the community, and let them explain it, and we can ask questions there or after. I know it's a little unorthodox. It's not the way we normally do it, but they're 2 very uniquely different proposals.
Like 5-10 minutes? Okay. Whoa. Okay.
Empty spaces will be the first up. Okay. Yes, that is. Yes. Um,
We need to ask the wife to step out. And I guess that's up to you guys. If you'd like exclusive time with the commission, each of you, or if you're totally comfortable with the other presenter being in the room, however we feel about that, that's fine. Yeah, okay.
Thank you for having us and putting this RFP forward. As we mentioned at the previous meeting we presented at, myself, Evan Snow, and my business partner, Mr. Andrew Martineau, are community builders, arts advocates, creative entrepreneurs, creative problem solvers that, amongst other things that we do in the community, came up with an initiative while we were driving around looking at all the vacant storefronts to activate vacant commercial real estate to make affordable artist studios for artists to be able to create in outside their home, which provides a myriad of benefits for the communities that we serve, all the way from South Dade to North Palm Beach, Sarasota, and now out of state. Commissioner Andrea Levine O'Rourke brought this potential opportunity forward to us, knowing what we do in Boca Center, where we have one of our studio locations. And she knows some of the other programs we do with the Boca Raton Innovation Campus, some other education components that we do, some other workshops that we do. And she thought that this could be a really great win for the park and for the center if it was not going to be able to serve any positive good to the community. If we were able to have artists in there serving good, providing workshops, providing opportunities for members of the community to support a local artist by either purchasing an artwork, commissioning an artwork, or just even spending time with an artist, there's unlimited benefits to the community that art provides that I'll spare you details of now. But we're excited at the prospect of potentially assisting you with taking some of these line items, off of your books, the utilities, some of the maintenance that we bear the responsibility of, that when we activate these spaces. We provide our own insurance, we do our own marketing, we do the facilitation and leasing to the artists. And it's been a real win-win-win for communities up into the first 22 spaces that we've activated over the last just about 2.5 years. So we're glad to answer any questions. Anything else you want to add?
Questions?
Thank you, gentlemen, for coming by this evening and explaining your operation a little bit. You're a nonprofit or a for-profit organization?
We are a for-profit organization that operates at nonprofit pricing. We're not independently wealthy people that can go around doing this, for free with our own dollars, but basically the nominal rental rate that we do charge to local artists for a small piece of a subdivided space allows it to cover the utilities, cover the insurance, and cover the operations, and allow us to continue operating forward. We currently charge $2.50 a square foot, and the average space is about 100 square feet.
Yeah. And during your operation, during the day, I assume that you'd be using park hours of operation. And I think that the park is open until what time, Brian, 10 or 11?
11 o'clock.
Okay. During the day, what would your normal participation, what would the room look like during the day when you're at your peak, or is there a peak? Just trying to get an idea of the traffic flow inside the community center.
Sure. So we do make the guarantees to our property owners that we will keep the spaces open and activated daily. Generally, our public hours are 12 to 5 p.m., but oftentimes artists could be found before and after those times. But we do commit that we will keep the space open and activated daily for the betterment of the community. So somebody that sees the project online, or they see it in the press or in the media, they can come and, browse the space at their convenience. They don't have to make an appointment. We would abide by the park hours. Obviously, we understand the gates closed and all of those things. During the daytime, there would be artists generally working in the space, creating their artwork. And then we oftentimes host open studio events where the public is invited to come interact with and discover the artists. We host a lot of workshops on various mediums and different forms of art. We host talks like mini TED Talks for the betterment of the community. most of these events end up being for free. So not every single artist is in the space every single day, but we do generally have a handful of artists in the space, keeping it open and activated with the lights on versus the doors being closed and not serving any good to the property owner or to the community.
You've seen the interior of that. Do you see any issues that might need to be addressed in turn to accommodate your programming elements? And would there any modifications be needed to the facility? And would there be a member of your organization on hand during the hours of operation?
So we are aware of the space. Obviously, we would maybe do some further inspections if we were awarded the project to ensure, that it was up to, code and all of those things. But the only real modifications that we envision making are we add some subdivider walls to basically delineate the space. So how you guys have the glasses up to delineate which seat is your seat, we do that for the artist so they know this is my corner, this is Sarah's corner, space number 1, space number 2. We would service the AC, of course, keep the space up and running, but we don't envision, replacing the windows or, any major improvement. Space seems to be in operational shape. And there would be somebody daily there to keep the space open and active daily. That has a key.
Thank you. Just one final question, Madam Chair. This may seem like a real dumb question, but from a flammability standpoint, are there any flammables in use in this by any of the artists, or anything other than just your normal paint that I guess is non-flammable, or and how would the equipment be stored? And then the individual artists, do they have any way to protect their if they have a little space, let's say a little cubicle here, is there some way that that can be secured? Are they concerned about anybody disturbing their work?
Sure. So we do have a prohibited materials list. Obviously, these spaces are zoned for particular uses. They're not generally zoned for industrial, so we don't allow open flame. We don't allow aerosol spray. We don't allow a lot of the more toxic materials that could interfere with the HVAC system, so on, and cause problems like that. So generally, the materials are limited to acrylic paint, oil paint, or like a mixed media assemblage, a collage, which is not very flammable, or not really flammable at all. In terms of the safety or the security element of it, the artists all have their own key to keep the space locked. Generally, the artists do look out for one another when a member of the public comes into the space to view the artwork. And we've thankfully, in about 2 years and 22 spaces, we've never had art supplies or a piece of art grow legs and walk away. Artists do bring in their own cabinets with their own locking systems if they want that added level of security. It's not required, and the space is required to be locked when they leave for the day. And thankfully, that's served us pretty well up to this point.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. I have some questions. Are you able to keep this at $250 a square foot for all of your facilities, or is this just because this is you're not going to be leasing anything from the district?
We've found generally the other arts advocates in the space that operate similar programs generally keep it around that price point and allows the spaces to stay operational. We'd like to keep it at 250 square foot. I understand this space might have some additional expenses that we generally don't bear at a lifestyle center or in a mall. We'd have to see the full operational expenses, but we would like to keep it at the same rate to keep it consistent with all of our other spaces.
Do other facilities donate their space? Is that how it is?
Yes.
Okay. And do you do background checks on the people who are coming in? Since this is a public park with a lot of children, do you ever do background checks?
We discussed that we would. We obtain information. We do our own background check of the person. We don't check their social every single time that they apply for the studio space, but given the situation that the space would be in a park and obviously the proximity to kids and all the other considerations, we would we would bear the cost of running the background checks. And then also we understand there might be some additional training as it relates to being in a park, and we would pass that along to the artists as well, so they understand the parameters of being in a public setting like a park and a community center.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming by. Just have a couple of questions. In any of your other spaces, do you run any children's programs, instructionals, how to draw, projects, things like that?
Yes. And have some images we could share with you at our Miami International Mall location with Simon Property Group. They ran a back to school like workshop set up, and there was some really cool creative opportunities, photo opportunities, workshop opportunities. And the artists don't only do these opportunities in the space, but they oftentimes go out in the community, government centers, history museums, so on and so forth. And they do like interacting with the public and the kids.
Okay. Also, I don't know why I'm so loud, but I know artists can be kind of messy. I'm married to one. Are you going to be responsible for cleanup, especially, paint get all over the place, but you'll be responsible for keeping the areas clean, and we won't have to worry about finding mystery spots 2-3 months down the road.
Correct. We do require the artist to cover the floor in the area that they create in, either with the tarp, a canvas, a rug, painter's tape. We do require a small security deposit equal to 1 month of rent for incidentals. If there was something to happen, that we would use those funds to clean it up. But thankfully, really haven't had many issues with the paint splattering or anything like that. And everybody is, an adult and responsible. And they also know that this opportunity generally is somewhat limited, and they generally don't want to jeopardize the opportunity because these opportunities are few and far between for artists.
Okay, thank you.
One question. Your proposal is for the full facility. Is there a minimum size, or would you consider a portion of the facility, or?
I believe you might have mentioned that the city was going to retain part of it for their offices for the forget what office that is, processing.
They have an athletic staff member in an office in there still. Yes. Yes.
So we would take whatever portion was available. We looked at one main common area and some of the breakout rooms. And then we would work with you guys on some type of an amicable split of the utility expenses, because obviously the city would still be operating and having their computers and power consumption, so on and so forth. But whatever space was available, if it was half of it or that one room, we would work with whatever you guys want to have activated.
Some space size of space would you use if it's not this facility or someone else? Do you have a minimum, or?
About 1,000 square feet.
I just had one question. How many artists do you estimate that you'll have in the space?
Based off the room that we saw and maybe 1 or 2 of the other breakout rooms, potentially upwards of maybe 16, 18, or 20.
Okay, is that it? Craig went. Yep, okay. All right, thank you so much.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate it. Why? You're up.
Good afternoon. You hear me okay? My name is Jason Hagensick. I'm the president and CEO of the YMCA of South Palm Beach County, 6631 Palmetto Circle South. My colleague is Brian Hunt, who is the executive director of the same facility here in Boca Raton. Our YMCA was established, chartered officially in 1972 as the YMCA of Boca Raton. We started actually a few years earlier, founded by David Ash, who started by offering recreational programs in Boca, at the time considered West Boca, but certainly is more central as we go now. Our why We have two traditional facilities, the Peter Blum Family YMCA in Boca Raton and the DeVos Blum Family YMCA in Boynton Beach. We also just opened, when COVID hit, we took advantage of the opportunity to open a teen center, which is the Lab YMCA Leadership Academy at the Boca Town Center in the mall space. We're always looking for creative opportunities for our YMCA to partner in the community to meet community needs. So our motivation with this proposal is, in fact, just that, which is to form a partnership with the Beach and Parks District to meet community needs primarily through recreational programs. So what you see before you is a focus on offering 8 weeks of summer camp. We could immediately do that. And throughout the course of the year, we'd be more than interested in offering additional programs. We already have commitments from karate instructors, gymnastics instructors, and an engineering program for children, among others. But the RFP that we submitted is focused primarily on the 8 weeks of summer camp. We serve 70,000 people on an annual basis through our two traditional facilities. More than half of them are children, but we serve from newborn all the way up to in excess of 100 years old as far as members to our YMCA. Our primary programs are preschool, after school, aquatics, sports, and summer camp. But we do a little bit of everything throughout the community, very consistent with the programs that are offered and focused on and prioritized by the Beach and Parks District. We would love to have the opportunity to work with you. We feel very confident in our ability to deliver on not only the programs, but the partnership. We have a partnership currently with the mall through the lab that I mentioned earlier. We also work with the school district. We deliver primetime programming at more than 60 elementary schools throughout the Palm Beach School District. We have a partnership in West Boynton with the County of Palm Beach. And then I missed one of the partnerships with the school district, which is Sandpiper Shores. So we deliver summer camp programs at Sandpiper Shores, at West Boynton Park, and then through our own traditional YMCA facilities. So I'm sure I'm missing something, Brian. What did I miss in there? All right, good. Love to answer any questions. We'd be thrilled to have this opportunity again. We have the ability to be flexible, but at the same time, it's what we do. You're welcome.
All right, Steve, you have a question?
Question, and you might have even covered this, but you would be using the facility year round.
We have the ability to use the facility year round. So we focused RFP primarily on starting with the summer camp program. So our motivation with that would be, we want to form a partnership with Beach and Parks. So our why, not unlike the relationship that you have and had with the city in delivering program through Patriot Park and the Rutherford Center, we'd be more than happy to explore that, but there would have to be additional conversations on what exactly that looks like. So in terms of working with staff, developing a budget, who's responsible for the various things, we're more than comfortable and happy, and we would love to have that conversation.
Okay.
We just, with the way the RFP was worded and structured, we felt very comfortable in our ability to deliver summer camp programs without going to the Beach and Parks District and asking for additional support or operating agreement.
Okay. When you say additional support, what would that look like?
Well, I know that you were compensating, or you had an agreement, a contractual agreement with the city. So we would look at that. And then I mentioned this to staff and others in this process, that the partnership approach is what would be important to us. So we want everybody to win. We want the YMCA to win, of course. We want the Beach and Parks District to win, of course. And we want the community and the residents of the community to win as well. So because certain programs are going to make money, certain programs are not going to make money, times of the day are going to be better than others, we felt that we would work with staff, work with the Beach and Parks District to determine what's the need, how can we meet that need, and at what cost.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else?
Know the why, and I'm very confident that you can do a lot of the programming. My question to you is that you're oriented the 8-week window, and your goal is to provide the community services. But do you need the whole facility for that? Or
We would need the entire facility. We can, again, through the partnership. I
Yep.
know that there's the existing space that's being used by city staff. So we could talk about what the specific needs are for that.
Contributing to the overhead of the facility.
All
and-
of the requirements of the RFP we would meet.
Okay.
So insurance,
Yep.
utilities, data, yes, we would do those. What was that? And the background checks too, Brian mentioned. We
And the
do
background
background
checks
check
too.
all
Okay.
of our employees and volunteers.
Okay. Thank you.
Jason, thanks for coming in this evening and explaining some of your program. I think we're all familiar with the YMCA and what you do for the community. I had hoped that some of the other areas that you're involved in might be something that we could roll into. I like the idea of having a summer camp in our facility. Obviously, it is a park. There are plenty of things to do with the young people in the community. Did you, and putting this together, did you think that you could expand into something more than that? I heard you're talking to Steve about, some of the functions that the city used to provide. I mean, I think we may have obtained a little bit of revenue, but not much out of that since the city was paying I took karate there for 3 years.
Sure.
But the pandemic really effectively knocked down any activities that were planned there because it was indoors. But if this is something that we decide on doing, I would be looking to expand the offering that we have beyond just summer camps, whether it's an after-school program or something of that nature, or even evening classes for karate, for instance. I'm too old for that kind of thing anymore, but I think that those are the kind of things that that you offer. And I was curious. This is just I see that Dr. Galvin is on there. Does he provide programming for you for some of your?
Dr. Galvin actually joined our board just as COVID hit.
Oh, did he?
So while he's an active member, it's really been virtual as far as membership to our board.
Mhm.
We've benefited from his expertise and knowledge as we've tried to manage COVID. But we're hopeful to have an in-person meeting at the end of this month, which would be his first in-person meeting to attend.
Yeah,
He's got great virtual attendance.
Yeah. Well, I noted that you have one of your programming was Parkinson's and chronic diseases, and that's something that he's specialized in. And
Very much so. In addition to that, diabetes prevention, blood pressure self-management, healthy weight in your child, cancer survivorship program. So those are all programs we would like to, if we looked at a perfect case scenario, we would love to program the space year round, 12 months out of the year, from early in the morning till late into the evening, coinciding with the park hours, of course. And that's something we would look to do in partnership with Beach and Parks.
well, I would think in the long-term planning, that would be something, I mean, because we're looking for, a long-term, probably going in with either group or probably have a trial period, whatever that might be,
Sure.
to see if it's a good fit for both parties. And then as you heard from the other responder to the RP, they're looking at, I think the same thing of occupying it on a daily basis, which I think if we're going to turn it over to someone, eventually that's how, I think that's
Sure.
what we should be doing in a partnership arrangement. So,
And that would be an ideal situation for us. It's just a little bit more complex than the 8 weeks of summer camp would be for us.
yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks.
Welcome, Brian. When you say you offer financial assistance to some of the people who take some of your camps or classes, how is that determined?
So there's an application that they fill out, and then based on their need, their financial situation, and what they produce for us to demonstrate that, we raise about $1.3 million a year that we give right back in the form of financial assistance and program assistance. So we are proud of the fact that we haven't turned anyone away based on an inability to pay.
If you were approved would you be able to get the summer camp up and running for summer 22?
I don't see any reason we wouldn't be able to.
Okay. And the other programs that you're talking about, and I echo what Commissioner Rollins says, I'd like to see it utilized. It's a good space, and I'd like to see as many people using the space from the community as possible. So how long do you think that this agreement might take to get other programs going?
Speak to that.
You know, well, currently we have contracted programs that have just package and go over there and set up, which are karate for children and adults, rhythmic gymnastics, and have program directors that are ready to start programming. So the biggest thing once we find out that we have space is recruiting staff for summer camp. Our internal summer camp holds a large wait list because of our capacity and what we can serve. Would be an opportunity to community that we can.
Okay, I just have a question. What's a Y bike?
Oh, about 6 years ago, one of the things about WISE is about 780 YMCAs across the country, and they're all locally led by groups of volunteers. So 6-7 years ago, one of those volunteers visited the YMCA in San Francisco, California, saw a bicycle program, decided that was something that would be important to do here in Boca because we did a survey in the elementary schools. It said most 3rd through 5th graders didn't know how to ride a bicycle at the time. So one of the beauties of the YMCA is we say, what's the community need? And let's go solve it. So that kind of created the Y Bikes program as a result of it. And it's to teach kids and families to enjoy cycling together and the safety requirements that go along with it. But we're quite proud of it.
And one last question, with the summer camp, would you be using the entire park?
So we would love to take advantage of any space that's available. Brian already mentioned that our camps fill up rather quickly, and with COVID, the need for camps did not go down, the need for camps went up. We were one of the only organizations that continued to provide summer camp throughout COVID, after school programming throughout COVID, winter camp throughout COVID, holiday camp throughout COVID, and we plan to continue to do that. So I can tell you, in the world of YMCAs, if there's space available, we're going to make the absolute best use out of it that we can, even if it's a broom closet.
And if I may add, the beauty about the park is we can give kids the opportunity to experience a day camp setting and a resident camp experience. Atmosphere.
Like sleepover camp? Is that,
They won't be sleeping over. But
what's resident camp then?
It's the same. So resident camp and sleepover, what Brian's saying is we can give them the experience of resident or sleepover camp without actually having the sleepover aspect of it. The activities, the group games, small group games, large group games, songs, skits, performances, everything that we would hope children would experience throughout their the formative years, they can get.
Thank you very much.
One question. Obviously, Jason, in our park, space is at a premium. And there are premium times that where the park's in usage, and scheduling those to accommodate every community need is important to us, that we do that. I don't envision you having 2,000 kids over there and taking up all the space, but there's 3 big soccer fields over there, soccer, lacrosse fields. There's also playgrounds over there. There's tennis facilities. I think all of those things are possible to make happen, and we want our parks to be used, but also it has to be shared with the community too. So I would just make that known. I mean, in the scheduling, the city of Boca does our scheduling of activities, and I noted in your response that you indicated for special events and activities you would work with the city on scheduling. And I think that's important for you to know, that we can't give you the key to the front gate and say it's all yours for the summer camp, but because I think there's space in there for everybody. But the playground over there gets used by the community very thoroughly in the summer as well, as kids are out of school. So I would just set that precedent with you in our discussion if that were to come to
It
fruition.
wouldn't be a partnership if we weren't willing to work on those things. I will tell you that the park is no more or less utilized than our YMCA's are.
Okay.
So the same programs that Beach and Parks is prioritizing are the same programs that we prioritize.
Thank you very, very much.
There's large grass fields probably that you would utilize over there too, back by the building that aren't utilized by our sports teams that you guys could utilize as well.
So-
Yeah,
Safety and security is very, very, very important to us, as you can imagine. So anytime a child is going to be in our care, we're going to do everything we possibly can to make sure that they're monitored appropriately. So being in a public park does add the element of citizens being anywhere nearby. So that's something we don't take lightly, but we understand that's a reality of the situation.
and then this would be great to add something to the north end of Boca too versus the south side of Boca that has the Y over there. Having another affordable camp option, having a 9-year-old and an 11-year-old is another great opportunity. And then what would your capacity be that you would be looking at for, let's say, the camp in terms of like numbers?
Speak to that one.
So currently what we looked at, the room capacity, the large room has a capacity of 100. So to start, we may not go over the 100 capacity, just to start other space. Mainly our
Be specific age group that you would start with first to kind of keep it.
it would be 5 completed kindergarten up to 11.
Full age group. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So now that that is complete, we need to go ahead and rank the two presenters. I guess just 1 and 2. Steve, you want to go first?
Insist. I'm going to rank the YMCA first and 0 empty spaces second. I think both have a lot to contribute to the community, but I feel like the YMCA, their intended uses are more in line with what Patriot has to offer. Patriot's facilities, and I just think it's more congruent. Camp and instructional facilities in a park setting. So that's my ranking.
Thanks, Craig.
I agree with Steve. I mean, the the spaces for art, I really love the idea, and I think it's spectacular. I would like to think that there's another opportunity somewhere that we could fit that in. But for purposes of Patriot Park and the community and the long-term nature of it, I think the Y is a closer fit to what we're already offering to the community. And the opportunity is greater for the long run.
I must say, so far, we're going to have a 3-person commitment here. And the reason being is, I think Craig and Steve summed it up correctly, is that it's closer akin, the YMCA is closer akin to what I envision the park being used for and what our charge is as a district. And as we said in the RP, it's to provide public programming to all residents of the county and supplement current recreational programming offered at the Greater Boca Raton Beach and Tax District. And I think the Y comes close to meeting all those target goals, quite honestly. And I think there's a value with the other RFP responder that we received, and maybe there's some in some future where we might have something available that we can make that offer available, because I think they do add something to the community, and but I'm going to go with the YMCA number 1 and the other responder number 2.
Susie?
Let's make it a 4 vote. YMCA for the same reasons. I love the idea of 0 empty spaces. I have artist friends who would love that. But recreation is what we do. And partnership with the Y, I think is more in keeping with the district. So the YMCA number 1 and 0 empty spaces number 2, but someday down in the future, let's find a place for you.
So I think we're then going to be unanimous in the Y being the best fit for our facility. So thank you very much for the proposals and coming here tonight. We really appreciate it. And that would be it. So I guess. Yes. So based on the vote being for the Y, Brianne will go ahead and we'll direct her to work with you on a contract. And hopefully we can work something out for summer of 22 and then future, activities that we can have planned there. So thank you.
Just one comment as a matter of procedure, if I may, Madam Chair. You've heard from your colleagues in the context of their preference. It'd be appropriate for a motion to adopt the rankings and recommendations of this committee and provide direction to your executive director to negotiate a contract with the top ranked opportunity.
The motion to adopt a negotiated contract with the YMCA to proceed, as well as adopt our motion of ranking number 1, the Y, number 2, the art. Thank you.
Again,
And I'll second.
discussion on that? Nope. Roll call from Joanne.
Sure. Commissioner,
Yes.
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 Yes. Number 2 on regular business is the Patriot Park work order for the pickleball courts. Brianne?
Commissioners, on page 14 of your agenda packets is the work order from CGA. And this is for the Patriot Park pickleball courts, which would move 18 pickleball courts. We have 6 out there now. We would revert those back to tennis courts and put 18 pickleball courts, with the separator between tennis and pickleball being the stadium court that's there. So this work order was put together by CGA. I thank them for working so quickly to get it done. I know it was tough with the holidays. We do have Robin Verse here in person. We also have Jenna Martinetti online. So if we have any questions for them, they're here to answer any questions about this work order, but we are seeking approval tonight so that we can get started on this. We've given them the notice to proceed here at the Racket Center. So the idea would be to start this concurrently, because this will take a lot more time to develop. And we could start to get this designed and ready to bid by the time the Racket Center project was complete, so that we would have space for tennis players to play at. So we are seeking tonight approval of this work order. And again, both Jenna and Robin are here to answer any questions.
Commissioners, any questions that you have on this?
Well, I think it would be bid that way. They're designing, this project is just to design it, and then we would put it out to bid and decide how, I guess, the best way to bid the project would go.
To refinish those courts, the existing tennis courts.
For
At
here,
Patriot.
here at Racket Center?
No, at Patriot. We're talking about,
It's part of this project.
okay.
It would be
all
part
right.
of this whole thing.
Okay, is that going to be done simultaneously, or?
We would see how we could bid it. The thought process was maybe to bid it with options to where we could keep 6 courts open at a time, but I think it would depend on financially how that would impact the budget.
Okay. Do we know what the timeline is on the preparation of this RFP? And what are we looking at? 6 months from issuing the RP to settling it to permitting and starting?
Well, the design work would take how long? Okay, Jenna, go ahead and chime in here.
Yeah, I think we're looking at about 9 months between design and permitting, survey design and permitting.
Okay.
Okay, and then any idea what the completion time might be, the phase in of that project? If the permitting and everything goes well, would be starting in 9 months, and what's the start to finish project, another 6 months?
For the actual construction of it,
Yes.
I believe it'd be a little bit more than that, just because it is a major with the resurfacing, plus the new tennis courts, and just given the way construction and material procurement and everything is right now, I think you'd be looking more at 9 months, 9 to 12 months on that.
Okay, so we're probably looking at a 2-year project start to finish. Okay, all right, thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
Maybe I missed something, but is there a way to keep the existing tennis courts open on a revolving basis, or do we need to close everything down?
To keep the existing tennis courts open while this is happening? I think that's what we would
basis.
look at once we get it designed, we would look at how we could, as far as construction, if it was possible to keep some courts open or not, but that would depend on how it would impact the budget. If it's gonna double the budget, or we may have to make a decision to just close the facility and get it done, but we would try to get some courts opened up over the course of time, like if they resurfaced the tennis courts first and then built the pickleball courts, different things like that. We would look at scenarios as it was designed to see the best way to construct it.
My thoughts exactly.
To approve the proposal.
Further discussion? Nope. We have a roll call on this, Joanne?
Ernst,
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion for approval of, oh, we're voting on this. I'm sorry. I'm jumping ahead. See, look at that.
Commissioner Engel, Commissioner Rollins,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogelsang,
Yes.
and Commissioner Wright. Motion passes.
Okay, now, Craig, approval of payroll
Okay.
and invoices.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion for approval of minutes or for invoices and payroll for the amount of $175,144.73.
Further discussion? Nope. Have a roll call on this.
Commissioner Ernst, Commissioner Engel, Commissioner Rollins, Commissioner Vogelsang,
Yes.
Commissioner Wright. Motion passed.
Okay, reports and discussion items. We'll start with Ms. Harms.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a brief update on Boca Chica and the master plan process. Middle Leg is preparing the survey currently, and that's going to be going out in the mail. The website, which is oceanbreezemasterplan.com, is linked on our website as well, and that is live. Currently just posting about the February 9th meeting, which we're going to put out in an email blast in the next week as well, just to keep people going. We posted it on our Facebook page. We know residents are getting that message out too. So we hope to have a lot of turnout. We're also going to look on Thursday. I'm going to meet with Middle Leg at Sugar Sand Park, and we're going to look at opportunities, and they're investigating ways for virtual participation, because I know some people have had concerns about coming out to a large meeting in light of the COVID increases. So we're going to look at that too, and we'll post that information as soon as we have it, if it's going to be a possibility for that workshop as well. Other items, the tower at Gumbo Limbo is out to bid, and bids are due back, I believe, this Friday. So once we get information from the city on that, I'll be sure to share that with everybody. Also, I had a conversation with Commissioner Ernst, and he may want to chime in on this topic, but there's a lot of money out there in grants and in some of these federal money that's coming out, and all these different things that they're approving in the Congress. So there's an opportunity for us to seek funds for some of our projects, like our pathways, even some of our park development. So I'd like to put together an RFP to solicit grant writers and possibly look at hiring one on an as needed basis. Just wanted to get the board to weigh in tonight and look for approval of putting that together and bringing that back at the next meeting. I think we have a real opportunity to solicit some money to help fund some of these projects that we have. Just looking at the state's website and some of the things that are out there, I think there's a good opportunity for it. So I'll let Commissioner Ernst if you want to add anything to that, but I'd like to get the board's approval to go ahead and put that on the agenda for the next meeting.
Add to it that, yes, there seems to be plenty of opportunity, and we're hitting the time just right for it, because I know our Miller Lake said that they do grant writing, but I think if we hire the right person and we look for different sources of grants, it may take more than one. The pickleball facility, there's lots of opportunities, walking trails. So Ocean Strand is available.
Yes.
Things possibly over at Sugar Sand. And I also would remind the group that I think I saw in one of the email columns of local news that the state of Florida has money that they give out. And the group from Delray was looking for money, and they sought money from our state representative. So another reason to know your state representative well, because that person is the contact for the local community to request money for different things that we have. And I think our projects are well thought out, well organized, and the timing would be good to present some of them. So that's why I say it's not just one, it's probably a couple, depending on what their specialty is. But
Right.
this is an area I know nothing about. I also know you got to be careful with participation of how they get paid. So I'd like to, encourage us to consider it and move forward.
I agree with Craig. I do like grants from the state, because I think they come with less encumbrances than federal grants that would concern me. I've looked in those before, and there's the devil's in the detail with those. You'd have to really examine. But if the money was available through the state, be my first preference. I do like having, we've talked about that before. I think having our own grant writer,
Yes.
I think makes a great deal of sense, and applaud Craig for thinking of that. Good job, Greg.
Okay. So we'll go ahead and put that on. I'm sorry.
I have a question, Craig. When you said how the grant writer is compensated, do they get a percentage or an hourly or a flat rate, depending on the grant?
That's the issue. That's exactly the issue. We are looking for partners, I think. We're not looking for someone who is going to, most of those private participation type grants, many years ago, FAU had a situation where the grant writer was making a lot of money, but that's private solicitations generally for that. This is state, and primarily state is what I'm thinking, but there might be federal too. I look at those as less kind of, you have to write a good story and explain this well. So, but I'd try to avoid, sharing on it.
No. It's a great idea, and it is a very specific thing that grant writers do. So it's good to have somebody that really knows what they're doing, especially within the state of Florida. So I think, yes, we'll give it a go on that. Add it to the next agenda.
Okay, we'll do that. Ocean Strand is going to go before City Council at their meeting next week. We received the notice of the public hearing, so we look forward to, I'll be in attendance there, and I think we're going to put together some information as well. And we look forward to seeing that through, and hopefully we get approval and we can continue that project. I want to thank Laura tonight for running the AV over here at the meeting. Also want to welcome back Melissa to tonight's meeting. Thank you for sticking it out tonight. No attention to Melissa. Don't let nobody look over. The pickleball event has started this week, so I'm excited to stop by there this week as well. And everybody has their passes. I think Joanna's got with you about the schedule, and you'll have your books. So hopefully we'll see everybody out there. And then for future agenda items, the city would like us to take a look at the maintenance facility at Hornley Park. They are seeking to move forward with that, so we'll put that on the agenda for the next meeting. We have an Ocean Strand discussion, hopefully, if depending on how things go with City Council. And I worked with Abbas Zachariah at Walter Zachariah on their agreement, and I think we're going to have that finalized for the next meeting. And then, of course, we'll put together this RFP for the grant writers. And that's all I have for tonight.
And District Council.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do not have anything this evening. I appreciate the opportunity.
Commissioners, Susie?
Top Soccer got started this week, and I have to compliment Kevin Beckman for helping us get the fields ready and the staff. The staff is at Sugar Sand Park and they come over to Woodlands and they are amazing. Anthony, Sway, and Thomas were, I mean, they worked so hard because Saber was on the rec program was on the fields, and they came in there and they set us up in like 45 minutes. It was amazing. So I just want to say thank you for their, and maybe Michael can put something in their folders just to say that they have amazing staff and we appreciate it. And that's all.
Chairman. Brian, did you say that the city wanted to put the maintenance building on the agenda for next meeting?
Seeking the approval from this board to move that forward. Yes.
Have they responded to the questions that you've asked them regarding the engineering of that structure and the cost and so forth? I know we had some specific questions.
Just the specifics we have. I asked about a cap for the budget. That's one question that has not been fully answered. And then as far as the rooms, they've answered that the same as we have known, that they are still going to be using those rooms, one at the fields for the athletic staff, and then the Rangers will still go in and out of that other room as far as those public spaces opening up. They've value engineered it. They've gone through a process of really eliminating things. I think that will come back in another phase, but I think ultimately it'll just be up to this board to decide if we want to continue participating in it or not at the next meeting.
Okay, well, I'll be interested in what savings that they have made in their Taj Mahal. It seems to me that, you know, we're being offered a bigger chunk of that construction than I think that we should be paying, but we can deal with that when we see it in the budget. But I'll be looking at their engineering, their value engineering of that very closely. I had an opportunity yesterday to take a golf cart and ride around Boca Country Club, 9 holes. And then today, the Chamber of Commerce, one of their committees, had an interview with, I forget the gentleman's name, the manager there, Jason, I think is his name. The question I asked was, how many rounds of golf are you getting a day? And he said 150 rounds of golf, which is pretty good. They have a lot of work ahead of them. I think you mentioned that, you know, to bring the course back to, you know, its previous condition, it probably is going to take them a couple of years of that. And I'm guessing that and I don't know, but I think that the tennis courts that they have there are probably way down the line because they've got a lot of work at the clubhouse. He showed the interior, the ballrooms, the dining area. I mean, it's a 45,000 square foot facility, I think you said. And, you know, some of the, you know, the course lays out, it's a pretty challenging course. I think it's, if you look at if you've ever played there, the front 9 is just a long rectangle and it's pretty narrow. I know I have hit plenty of balls in the lake and on the other side in the houses. So during my play, but big opportunity for the city. The one thing I want to know too is that when we put out a newsletter about 6 months ago, and I found that the city was copycatted us, which I'm happy because they now have a newsletter on a regular basis, and I'm asking our executive director to figure out when we're going to put out our next one, because we have a lot going on, and I think we need to get our message out to folks to let us know what we're doing with their ad valorem revenue.
We have put on each month we put another one out, so I'll find out why you're not on that list, because you should have seen that.
Yeah, I haven't seen a single one. Yeah.
Well, I have Elliot's on the line now, so I'm sure he's looking into that right now, but
all right.
we are preparing the next one. Yes.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much, Madam Chair. You did a nice job for your first meeting. Congratulations again. And we've got a lot of work to do, and I know you're going to be right on top of it.
Greg?
It's just one thing. Thank you, Madam Chair. Congratulations. But following on Bob's comment about the newsletter, I'm sensitive to the newsletter to be probably less district oriented and more volunteer oriented. And that's my recommendation is to, I got on this board to really support our volunteers in our community. And I would like to see in that newsletter more information about whether it's top soccer or whether it's any kind of events that are happening, and really let them, be a voice for our volunteers, from lacrosse to soccer for signups, and, let people know more about those signups and to redirect them to the nonprofits. So it fits right in with there. And so that being kind of a focal point, and that's what I'd recommend. Other than that, I think it's, we got a lot of good things to go forward with, and look forward to the new year.
You've
With all of that, I'd like to compliment Commissioner Wright on a job well done tonight. And I look forward to a great year. And that's it.
Thank you. I just had one thing. Do we have any follow-up on the school district discussions?
No, I know they've had a lot of, the school district has been really inundated with teacher outages. So they've had people stretched very thin going into schools and helping out in classrooms. So I think that they are a bit overwhelmed right now, but I will follow up with Chris and see. I know that they have a lot on their plates right now. I know, because you've sat on some of those meetings with the school board. So I know they have a lot going on, but I will touch base with her again this week and see where they're at. And I know they also have state testing going on in schools, and only teachers can do testing. So if teachers are out, they're pulling teachers from everywhere to administer the state test. So it's really, they're like in a no-win situation, but I'll follow up with them and see if they've had any chance to resume those conversations and where they're at with it.
And then future agenda items.
I mentioned the review of the DeHornley Park Maintenance Facility, possibly Ocean Strand discussion, the WZA agreement, and then we'll do the RFP for grant writers and anything else between now and then.
Okay. And
Sure.
alrighty. And roll call on that, Joanne?
Ernst? Commissioner Engel? Commissioner Rollins?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogelsang?
Yes.
Commissioner Wright?
Yes.